The conference room door slammed open with a force that rattled the windows overlooking Barcelona's bustling Rambla. Clementine froze mid-sentence, her coffee cup slipping from her fingers to shatter on the tiled floor. Dark liquid pooling like spilled secrets. "You think this is funny?" Javier's voice boomed from the doorway, his face twisted in mock horror as he clutched his chest. "Clem, darling, if you stare at Maria's ass any harder, you'll bore holes through those yoga pants." Laughter erupted from the cluster of colleagues huddled around the whiteboard, sharp, jagged peels that sliced through the air like broken glass. Clementine's cheeks burned, not from embarrassment, but from the familiar sting of isolation in a city that was supposed to feel like reinvention. Across the table, her twin sister Clara sat motionless, pen poised over a notepad, her green eyes fixed on some invisible point in the distance, as if the room's cruelty was just another line item on the agenda. Clementine had always known that identical twins shared more than just faces. They carried echoes of each other's heartbeats, shadows of the same unspoken fears. Born 3 minutes apart in a rainy Seattle suburb, she and Clara had been inseparable. Two halves of a whole, navigating the world with the kind of intuitive bond that made strangers whisper about witchcraft. But that was back in the States, where family dinners meant clam chowder and stories of their Irish grandmother's stubborn poetry. Here in the sun-drenched chaos of Barcelona, where they'd chased dreams of escape 2 years ago, the echoes had faded to a hollow hum. It started innocently enough, or at least that's what Clem told herself in the quiet hours before dawn, when the Mediterranean breeze whispered through her tiny apartment's balcony doors. They'd landed in Spain on a whim, Clara with her freshly minted MBA, hungry for international HR experience at Technova, a sleek startup blending Silicon Valley ambition with Catalan flair. Clem, ever the artist at heart, had tagged along with her graphic design portfolio, sketching logos for boutique brands while dreaming of illustrating children's books about fierce girls who didn't need saving. "This is our fresh start," Clara had said, clinking glasses of cava on their first night, the city lights twinkling like promises below. "No more hiding who we are." Who they were. Clem had come out first at 17, during a rainy high school prom where she ditched her date for a quiet corner with Sarah, the quiet violinist whose freckles mapped constellations on her nose. It was a soft revelation, wrapped in stolen kisses and mixtapes of indie folk. Clara had followed suit a year later, her confession delivered over late-night pancakes. "Me too, Clem. Always have been." They'd hugged until the batter cooled, vowing to shield each other from the world's sharper edges. Sisters. Lovers of women. Unbreakable. But Technova wasn't Seattle. The office sprawled across 3 floors of a renovated textile mill in the Poblenou district. All exposed brick and ergonomic pods where young expats coded apps for sustainable fashion. Clem had lucked into a junior designer role 6 months in, after impressing the creative director with a pitch deck that wove Catalan mosaics into minimalist icons. It felt like destiny, until the whispers started. Javier was the ringleader, a charming Madrid transplant with a jawline like a matador and jokes that landed like punches. He wasn't malicious, not really. In the cutthroat rhythm of startup life, teasing was currency, a way to bond over 12-hour sprints and bottomless espresso. But when Clem's gaze lingered a beat too long on Maria, the lithe product manager with sun-kissed olive skin and a laugh like wind chimes, it shifted from playful to pointed. "You're like a heat-seeking missile, chica," Javier had quipped one afternoon in the kitchenette, as Maria bent to grab creamer from the fridge. The room had chuckled, a low rumble that Clem swallowed like bitter dregs. She forced a grin, muttering, "Guilty as charged." But inside, her stomach twisted. Maria had caught her eye weeks earlier, during a team-building hike up Tibidabo, where the city unfurled like a lover's secret below. They'd talked for hours about Maria's abuela's paella recipes, Clem's sketches of Barcelona's hidden alleys, until the sun dipped low and their fingers brushed over a shared water bottle. It was electric tentative, the kind of spark that made Clem's sketches come alive with color. That night, back in her apartment, Clem had texted Clara. "Met someone. Think it's real." Clara's reply was a string of heart emojis, followed by, "Tell me everything tomorrow. Proud of you." But the next day at brunch, croissants flaking onto checkered tablecloths at a Gracia cafe, Clara's eyes had darted away when Clem described Maria's smile. "Just be careful," she'd said, stirring her café con leche too vigorously. "Workplace stuff." Complicates things. Clem had nodded, but the warning lodged like a pebble in her shoe. Weeks blurred into a delicate dance. Stolen glances across sprint reviews, post-work vermouth sessions where Maria's knee pressed against Clem's under the table at El Zampagnet. Their first kiss happened on a whim, after a late-night debugging session, in the shadow of the office's rooftop herb garden. Maria's lips were soft, tasting of salt and sangria, her hands threading through Clem's wavy hair with a gentleness that unraveled her. "I've wanted this," Maria whispered, her breath warm against Clem's ear. "Since the hike." It was the kind of love that bloomed fierce and fast, all whispered confessions under gaudiest whimsical arches and weekend escapes to the Costa Brava, where they'd lie on pebbled beaches, tracing futures in the sand. Maria dreamed of launching her own eco-app, Clem of illustrating a graphic novel about twin souls navigating prejudice. "We're building something real," Maria said one evening, as they watched fireworks burst over the harbor for l'Immerse Festival. Clem believed her, with the blind faith of someone who'd spent years sketching what she couldn't say. But the office was a pressure cooker, and Javier's jabs escalated with the deadlines. "Clem's got that puppy dog stare again, Maria, better watch your back," he'd call out during stand-ups, earning snickers from the devs. Once, during a client pitch, he slipped in a slide with a cartoon dog leashed to a heart, caption designer's muse. The room tittered. Clem's presentation faltered, her voice catching on metrics she'd rehearsed a dozen times. Maria shot her a sympathetic glance, but said nothing. Later in the bathroom, she pulled Clem into a hug. "Ignore him. He's an ass." Clem tried. God, she tried. But the barbs accumulated, a slow erosion. Post-it notes on her monitor with winking emojis, group chat memes of overly affectionate puppies. And through it all, Clara, HR manager extraordinaire, with her polished PowerPoints on inclusivity and her quarterly diversity trainings, remained a ghost. Seated at the head of the table during team meetings, she'd nod along, her pen scratching notes on engagement metrics, never once raising her voice to call out the toxicity. "It's just banter," she'd murmur to Clem over hurried lunches at the corner tapas bar. "Rock the boat and you sink us both. We're guests here, remember? Americans in Spain, we stick out enough." The first real fracture came on a sweltering August afternoon, the kind where the siesta felt like mercy but the office hummed on, American efficiency clashing with Iberian rhythm. Clem was midway through a mood board for the fall campaign when Javier sauntered over, plopping into her pod with a grin. "Hey Picasso, got a sec? Need your eye on this." He angled his screen. A mock-up of the app's login page, but with Maria's face photoshopped onto a stock model, heart eyes superimposed. Thought it'd spice things up. For the lovebirds. The bullpen went quiet. A held breath anticipation. Clem's fingers trembled on her stylus. She could feel 24 eyes on her, waiting for the punchline's payoff. Across the open floor, Clara's office door was ajar. She had to have heard, had to see. But when Clem glanced up, her twin was buried in emails, headphones on, oblivious or willfully blind. "Delete it," Clem said, her voice steady despite the roar in her ears. Javier laughed, waving it off. "Lighten up. It's hilarious." He hit save, then forwarded it to the team Slack with a winky face. Notifications pinged like gunfire. Maria, arriving late from a vendor call, caught the tail end. Her face paled as she scrolled her phone, then she fled to the rooftop without a word. Clem followed, finding her curled against the railing, arms wrapped around her knees, the city sprawl indifferent below. "I'm sorry," Clem whispered, sinking beside her. Maria's eyes, usually so vibrant, were rimmed red. "It's not you. It's exhausting. Like we're some sideshow." They sat in silence until the heat ebbed, Maria's head eventually resting on Clem's shoulder. "We fight this together?" Clem asked. Maria nodded, but the seed of doubt had taken root. That evening, Clem cornered Clara in her apartment, the one they shared to cut costs. A cozy two-bedroom in Izample with creaky wooden beams and a balcony strung with fairy lights. "Why didn't you say anything today?" she demanded, pacing the living room as paella cooled untouched on the stove. Clara sighed, loosening her ponytail, her straight hair falling like a curtain. "Because it's not that simple, Clem. I'm HR. If I call him out every time, it'll look like favoritism. We're twins. People already talk." "Favoritism?" Clem's laugh was bitter, echoing off the tiled walls. Clara, they're humiliating me. For loving someone. And you're letting it slide because of optics. She sank onto the worn leather couch, the weight of the day crashing down. Clara knelt before her, taking her hands, identical palms, callous from shared childhood bikes rides. I hate it too. But we need these jobs. Spain's visa rules are brutal. One misstep and we're on a plane back to Mom's basement. Just endure a little longer. It'll blow over. Endure. The word haunted Clem through sleepless nights. As Maria grew quieter, their dates laced with unspoken tension. She threw herself into work, churning out designs that earned nods from the C-suite, but the mockery lingered like humidity. A whispered lesbian radar during coffee runs. An anonymous survey comment about distractions in the design pod. And Clara? She thrived, promoted to senior HR, her trainings now mandatory, preaching psychological safety to a room that snickered behind her back. Fall arrived with a chill off the sea, turning the Rambla's plane trees to gold. Clem and Maria stole a weekend in Sitges, a rainbow-hued enclave where hand-holding felt safe. They wandered whitewashed streets, shared gelato under rainbow flags, and in a cliffside bistro overlooking the waves, Maria slid a delicate silver bracelet onto Clem's wrist, engraved with Corazon Valiente. Brave heart, she translated, her dark eyes shining. For the girl who sees me. They made love under starlit sheets, bodies entwining like vines, but it was tender, a reaffirmation rather than conquest. Hands mapping scars from old heartbreaks, whispers of forever amid the crash of surf. Back in Barcelona, reality intruded like a storm. The annual Technova Gala loomed, a black tie affair at the W Hotel, where investors mingled with influencers under chandeliers that dripped like molten glass. Clem dreaded it, but Maria insisted. We show them we're unbreakable. Clara, ever the professional, helped Clem pick a dress. A sleek emerald number that hugged her curves, echoing her eyes. You'll stun them, Clara said, zipping it up, their reflections overlapping in the mirror like ghosts. The night unfolded in a haze of cava flutes and networking small talk. Javier held court by the bar, regaling tales of his latest hackathon win. Maria looked radiant in sapphire silk, her arm looped through Clem's as they navigated the crowd. For a moment it felt victorious. Compliments on the app's new UI. A venture capitalist asking about Clem's portfolio. Then Javier spotted them, microphone in hand for the open mic toasts. Ladies and gentlemen, he boomed, the room hushing. A shout out to our dynamic duo Maria the brains and Clem the heart. Or should I say, the one with the biggest crush on the job. Laughter rippled, louder this time, fueled by alcohol. Someone wolf whistled. Clem's grip tightened on her glass. Maria stiffened beside her. From the podium's edge, Clara watched, her smile frozen, hand raised in half applause. That was the hook that snagged deepest, the silence from the one person who could have reeled it in. The gala's aftermath lingered like a hangover, the kind that seeped into bones and soured every sunrise. Clem woke the next morning to Maria's side of the bed empty. A note on the pillow, needed space. Call you later. M. Her heart plummeted, the bracelet suddenly heavy on her wrist. She texted Clara. Can we talk? Now. But her twin was already at the office, buried in post-event debriefs. By noon the group chat exploded, screenshots of Javier's toast circulating with eggplant emojis and winking devils. Anonymous thumbs-ups from fans. Clem scrolled in numb horror from her balcony. The city below, an indifferent blur of scooters and street performers. When Maria finally called, her voice was a fragile thread. I can't do this anymore, Clem. Not like this. It's poisoning us. Tears choked the line. I love you, but... The stares, the jokes. I feel like I'm on display. They met at Parc de la Ciutadella, under the Cascades' misty veil, where tourists fed pigeons and lovers picnicked on checkered blankets. Maria's eyes were shadowed, her usual vibrancy dimmed. It's not you, she insisted, echoing their rooftop talk. It's the environment. Technova chews people up, especially women like us. Clem reached for her hand, but Maria pulled back, the rejection a fresh wound. What if we take a break? Just until things cool. The words hung, heavy as the humid air. Clem nodded, throat tight, watching Maria walk away toward the boating lake, her silhouette shrinking like a fading sketch. Grief settled in layers. Clem called out sick for 2 days, holing up with sketchpads and episodes of the L-Word reruns, the irony bitter. On the third, Clara dragged her to the office. Can't let them win. And installed her at a corner desk with noise-canceling headphones and a stack of mood boards. Focus on the work, Clara advised, her tone clipped, professional. That's how you rise above. But rising felt impossible when the air crackled with unspoken judgments. Whispers followed Clem to the copier. Drama queen. Overreacting like always. Javier, chastened by a vague HR email, Clara's doing perhaps. Toned down his barbs, but the damage festered. During a design review, the creative director praised her concepts. Bold Clem really captures the spirit. Only for a senior dev to mutter. Yeah, if the spirit's a rom-com. The room snickered. Clem's cheeks flamed. She looked to Clara, seated as observer, but her twin jotted notes on retention stats, impassive as marble. That night, over takeout falafel in their apartment, Clem confronted her again. You sent that email to Javier, right? The one about inclusive language? Clara nodded, spearing a chickpea with unnecessary force. It was neutral. Can't single him out without evidence. Clem's fork clattered to her plate. Evidence? The whole floor heard him at the gala. You were there, Clara. You clapped. Clara's eyes flashed, a rare crack in her composure. What was I supposed to do? Jump up and yell stop? In front of the CEO? We'd both be out, me for nepotism, you for causing a scene. She pushed her plate away, the scent of tahini turning cloying. I'm protecting us, Clem. You think I don't see the looks? The way they whisper about the American twins? One wrong move, and we're labeled the Rainbow Mafia. The word stung, laced with truth Clem didn't want to face. They were outsiders here. Expats on fragile visas, their Pacific Northwest accents a curiosity in boardrooms thick with Castilian lisps. Clara had clawed her way to HR manager by playing the game. Neutral emails, data-driven trainings, never rocking the boat. It's survival, she said softly, reaching across the table. Remember Dad's layoff? How we ate ramen for months. I won't let that happen again. Clem pulled away, the familiar touch now foreign. Survival shouldn't mean silence. Not when it's my heart on the line. She retreated to her room, the door clicking shut like a verdict. Sleep evaded her, visions of Maria's retreating back mingling with memories of their twin pact. Pinky swears under Seattle pines, promising to always fight the bullies. The weeks that followed were a slow unraveling. Maria's break stretched into radio silence, her texts curt, busy with launches. Clem threw herself into a passion project. A series of illustrations for a queer-owned bookstore in the Gothic Quarter. Fierce women with eyes like storm clouds, unapologetic in their gaze. It was cathartic, lines bleeding emotion onto paper, but the office remained a minefield. A new intern, wide-eyed from Valencia, asked innocently during lunch, "Is it true about you and Maria? Javier says you're like those movies." Clem choked on her bocadillo, forcing a laugh. Javier says a lot. Don't believe everything. Clara overheard, of course. Their shared DNA a curse as much as a gift. That evening, she waited with chamomile tea steaming on the coffee table. You have to toughen up, she said, her voice gentle but edged. This isn't high school. Flirt on your own time, keep work separate. Clem's laugh was hollow. Flirt? Clara, it's love. Real messy love. And you're telling me to hide it because some bro dude can't handle it. The argument escalated, voices rising over the hum of the city below. I'm not hiding. Clara shot back, standing abruptly, her chair scraping tile. I'm strategic. You think I don't date? That I don't feel this pull? But I choose my battles for both of us. Tears welled unbidden. Clara swiped them away, vulnerability cracking her armor. Last year with Elena from legal? It ended because I spoke up about a policy. Cost me a promotion. I won't risk you too. Clem softened, seeing the fear beneath. The same fear that had kept their mother silent during Dad's affairs, that bound families in quiet complicity. She hugged her sister, the embrace fierce, scents of lavender shampoo mingling like childhood. We're better than this, she murmured. We have to be. Fragile peace held through October's patter of rain. Clem channeling hurt into art. Clara promising more visibility in her next training. Maria resurfaced sporadically. A coffee here, a lingering hug there, but the spark had dimmed, trust frayed like old denim. Then came the betrayal that shattered it all. It started with a leaked email chain, forwarded anonymously to the entire company. Javier's gala toast, dissected in emojis and asides, but buried deeper, a thread from months back. Clem's got it bad, hope Maria's into charity cases. LOL, twins even share taste in women? Creepy. The senders? A mix of devs and even a junior PM, Carmen's name glaring amid the pylon. But the kicker? Clara's reply innocuous on surface. Noted for next inclusivity session. Let's keep it professional, team. No rebuke, no defense. Just deflection. Clem found it during a late-night Slack purge, her stomach dropping like the elevator in the W. She printed it, the pages trembling in her hands, and waited for Clara's shift end. Dawn crept over the balcony as her twin stumbled in. Heels clicking exhaustion. What is this? Clem thrust the stack forward, voice a whisper knife. Clara scanned it, color draining from her face. Clem, it's nothing. I flagged it internally. Flagged it? You let them call me a charity case. Tears hot on her cheeks, Clem paced, the apartment closing in. My own sister, HR manager, sees this shit and does. What? Nothing. I archived it for patterns, Clara pleaded, stepping closer. To build a case, not knee-jerk. You know how it works. Patterns. Clem whirled, green eyes mirroring fury. The pattern is you choosing your career over me. Every time. The words landed like slaps, years of swallowed hurt spilling out. Clara's high school detachment when bullies targeted Clem's crushes, her college silence during a dorm party's slurs. We're twins, Clara. Your pain is mine. But mine? You file it away like paperwork. Clara recoiled as if struck. You think I don't hurt? Every joke, every whisper, I feel it twice over because it's you. But if I fight every battle, we lose the war. This job, this life. It's our anchor here. Her voice broke, hands gesturing wildly. I stayed silent to protect us. To give you a future with Maria, with your art. With Maria? Clem's laugh shattered the air. She's gone, Clara. Because of this poison you let fester. She grabbed her coat, the bracelet glinting like accusation. I can't do this anymore. Not with you. The door slammed behind her, echoing into the waking city. Clem wandered the empty Rambla, pre-dawn fog muffling the world, her sketchbook clutched like a shield. She ended up at the bookstore, pounding on the shuttered door until Luca, the owner, a burly dyke with tattooed forearms, let her in. Rough night, he grunted, brewing espresso in the back. Clem poured it out between sobs. The mockery, the love lost, the twin-shaped void. Luca listened, then slid her a fresh journal. Draw it out, kid. Pain's just ink waiting for lines. By noon she'd filled 10 pages. Raw, visceral portraits of silenced women, eyes defiant amid storms. She emailed her resignation to Technova, CCing the CEO. Effective immediately. The culture here mocks vulnerability. Fix it or lose more than me. Then heart-pounding she texted Maria. One last try? Park 5 p.m.? Maria arrived as the sun gilded the palms, hesitant in a wool coat against the chill. I saw the email, she said, no preamble. Brave. They walked the paths, leaves crunching confessions. I pulled away because it hurt too much, watching you endure, feeling complicit. Clem stopped, turning to face her. It wasn't your fight alone. But I get it. I pulled away from Clara for the same reason. Vulnerability bridged the gap. Maria's hand found hers, tentative, then sure. Let's try off the grid. My sister's got a place in Valencia. Month sabbatical. Hope flickered, fragile as autumn light. But the real storm brewed back home. Clara called incessantly, voicemails a crescendo of pleas. Come back. We can fix this. Clem ignored them, packing a duffel with sketches and Maria's borrowed scarf. As they boarded the train south, fingers intertwined, the bracelet catching rail light, she felt the first real breath in months. Freedom bittersweet. Yet betrayal's shadow lingered. In Valencia's orange groves amid paella feasts and midnight confessions, Clem's phone buzzed with a final message from Clara. Resignation accepted. But know this, I fought for you today. Board meeting. Change is coming. Attached. A photo of Javier's termination letter, signed with Clara's flourish. Relief word with ache. Too late, Clem typed, then deleted. Instead, thank you. But I need time. The train rattled on, carrying her toward uncertain tomorrows, the twin bond stretched but not severed. A thread in the wind waiting for mending. Valencia unfolded like a bomb, its turquoise paella pans and labyrinthine mercado, a world away from Barcelona's frenetic pulse. Maria's sister Sofia, a ceramicist with a laugh like thunder, welcomed them to her finca on the city's edge, a sun-baked haven of terracotta tiles and bougainvillea-draped walls. "Stay as long as you need," she said, pressing glasses of horchata into their hands. "Love's a messy mosaic, takes time to set." Clem and Maria settled into the guest cottage, a whitewashed nook with a loft bed and views of olive groves swaying in the breeze. Days blurred into a gentle rhythm. Mornings sketching by the fountain where Clem captured Maria's profile in charcoal strokes, high cheekbones softened by sleep. Afternoons wandering the Turia Gardens, now a verdant ribbon where a river once raged. Evenings tangled in sheets, bodies speaking what words couldn't, tender explorations of rediscovered trust. It wasn't perfect. Nightmares woke Clem at odd hours, the conference room's laughter echoing like thunder, Clara's averted gaze a recurring specter. Maria held her through them, murmuring Valencian lullabies her abuela taught, but the distance from Barcelona gnawed. "What now?" Maria asked one dusk, as they picnicked on falafel wraps amid fireflies. "Back to Teknova? Or elsewhere?" Clem traced the bracelet's engraving, the silver warm from her skin. "Corazon Valiente. Elsewhere," she decided. "Spain's taught me I don't need a cubicle to create. Maybe freelance, query agents for that graphic novel." Maria's eyes lit, her hand squeezing. "And me? Podcaster on sustainable tech. Remote from anywhere." They clinked water bottles, toasting reinvention, the future a canvas half-sketched. Meanwhile, back in Poblenou, Clara waged war in whispers. The resignation email had ignited a firestorm. Investors murmuring about toxic talent drain. The CEO summoning her to a corner office with harried efficiency. "Fix this, Thompson," he barked, tossing the printout. "Or we're all sunk." Clara nodded, steeling her spine, the weight of twin betrayal fueling her. She dove into data. Anonymized surveys revealing 40% of staff felt uncomfortable with personal disclosures, cross-referenced with Javier's Slack history. Patterns emerged, subtle exclusions, gendered jabs masked as humor. By week's end, she drafted a overhaul, mandatory allyship workshops, anonymous reporting hotlines, and a zero-tolerance clause for humor at others' expense. The board meeting was a coliseum. Clara stood at the head, projector humming her slides into stark relief. "Our culture isn't innovative, it's insular," she began, voice steady as Seattle rain. She clicked through testimonials, redacted, but the sting unmistakable, landing on Javier's toast transcript. Gasps rippled, the CEO's jaw tightened. "This stops now," Clara pressed, "or we lose the best of us." Silence stretched, then applause, tentative, then fervent. Javier was out by noon, his desk cleared by security. Carmen, tearful in Clara's office, confessed, "I didn't mean harm, just followed the crowd." Clara hugged her, whispering, "That's how it starts. Be the change." Word spread like wildfire. Slack channels buzzed with tentative support. About time. Proud of HR stepping up. Clara fielded calls from recruiters, LinkedIn headhunters sniffing opportunity. But she stayed, anchoring the rebuild. Nights, though, were hollow. The apartment echoed Clem's absence, her sketchpads gone from the table, the balcony lights dim without their shared wine. Clara scrolled old photos. Twins at Tibidabo summit, arms linked against the wind. Prom night in mismatched gowns defying norms. Guilt coiled tight, her silence a self-inflicted wound, deeper for its intent to protect. Thanksgiving approached, a transplanted American ritual in a land of turn and nativity scenes. Clara flew solo to a potluck at an expat bar in Elborn. Turkey carved with plastic forks, pumpkin pie from a kit. Amid the chatter of homesick stories, her phone lit. A photo from Clem, Valencia's phallus scaffolds rising like phoenix bones, Maria's arm around her waist. "Missing you. Turkey looks sad, save me some pie?" Clara's throat closed, she typed back, "Always. Come home?" The reply took hours soon. Healing first. It was enough. A bridge, rickety but intact. Clem returned to Barcelona in December's crisp embrace. The city alight with Christmas mercados and the scent of roasting chestnuts. Maria stayed in Valencia, their love now a long-distance letter. Video calls laced with laughter, care packages of sketches and seed packets for Sophia's garden. Clem crashed at Luca's above the bookstore, the cramped flat a cocoon of books and cat hair. No rush, he grunted, shoving a key her way. World's not ending. Reentry was tentative. Technova's lobby gleamed unchanged, but the air hummed different, posters touting safe spaces on every wall, a rainbow pin on the receptionist's lapel. Clara met her there, professional blazer swapped for a wool sweater, eyes wary. Coffee? She asked, voice small. They walked to the rooftop, the herb garden frost-kissed, Sagrada Familia's spires piercing the gray sky. I'm sorry, Clara blurted, before Clem could speak. Words tumbled. The boardroom battle, Javier's exit, the surveys she championed. I thought silence was strategy, but it was fear of losing you this life. I betrayed us both. Tears traced her cheeks, mirroring the drizzle. Clem listened, heart aching with recognition. The same fear that had silenced their mother, that bound generations in quiet endurance. I know, Clem said finally, stepping closer. Me too. I ran because it hurt too much to stay and fight with you. Rain pattered their shoulders. Clara opened her arms, and they collapsed into each other, twin sobs mingling with the city's hum. Identical heartbeats synced, scars aligning like puzzle edges. Forgive me, Clara whispered. Clem nodded against her hair. Already did. But no more hiding. We fight together or not at all. Reconciliation bloomed slow, rooted in action. Clara looped Clem into the culture committee, anonymously at first, her illustrations anonymizing pain into universal icons, figures hand in hand against shadowed crowds, colors defiant. They co-facilitated a workshop, Clara's data weaving with Clem's stories, voices harmonizing like a duet long rehearsed. Maria visited for New Year's, the three of them toasting under fireworks at Montjuic, sisters and lovers, a chosen constellation. Spring unfurled with renewal. Clem's graphic novel found a small press in Madrid, Twin Echoes. Tales of bonds tested by silence, illustrated in bold lines and whispered hopes. Maria launched her podcast from Barcelona, episodes on queer innovation drawing listeners from Lisbon to LA. Clara? She turned down a London promotion, staying to nurture Technova's fragile bloom, her trainings now laced with personal fire. Silence isn't neutral, it's complicity. Speak for the ones you love. One golden afternoon as cherry blossoms dusted the Rambla, Clem and Clara sat on their balcony, restored, the apartment alive with dual easels and HR binders. Maria joined via video, her face pixel bright from Valencia. To us, Clara raised a glass of cava. Messy, unbreakable. Glasses clinked, virtual and real. The city sprawling below like a love letter unfinished. Clem sketched them then, three women, hands linked across distances, eyes fierce with hard-won light. In the margins a note. Hearts brave, voices loud. The twin bond, once frayed, now wove stronger. Silk through steel, a testament that love in all its forms demands not perfection but persistence. And in Barcelona's eternal sun, they persisted.